In this episode, we are discussing why the root cause of fears is a basic human insecurity. Hello and welcome back. My name is Andrei and this is Decode Your 20s. Now, I chose one of the coolest places I've been and definitely my favorite from which I should decode your 20s, and this is Alabama Hills, and it's a fascinating place. Like, it looks like it's from a different planet. Now, coming back to our topic, and that is why I believe that the core reason of our fears are basic human insecurities, and these are simple things and common. And I would like to explain this by firstly giving the abstract overview of what I think is happening, and then I will back that up with an example. And the core idea is that in many things in life, all of us, we have a few options from which we can choose. Take, for example, university. You have many options from which you can choose, and these options have different characteristics, and to some of them, we attach a fear of ours. Like, one option might come with more unknown, or one option would come with more cost. And each of those options have some unique characteristics which make us fear a bit of them. And those fears are usually like basic human feelings. This is something which is deep inside us, and it's usually only us who know about them. But then we live in a world when we have to communicate with other people, and that means they will ask us about those options, and we have to explain to them why do we think that we make those options. And usually it's hard, and we do not like to expose our deepest fears, so we come with some excuses, with some ways of backing up the option that we are doing. But those ways in which we back the option that we did in front of other people, it's usually a manifestation of the fears which are inside us. And it might sound plausible from the outside because it's a reason which might be good enough to believe if you are not, the person who tells it. But inside your own, you know that this is not true and it's not the cause, and you try to back up the fear with a reason or another. So there are three levels of abstraction to understand why fears are at the core, at their root, deep inside. There are only some simple and that have basic causes, and it's not something super complicated to find it. And those three levels are: the first one is that you have options, and the options have attached on top of them different characteristics, and each of those characteristics come up with fears. So we have on the first level the options, and on the second level we have the fears attached to each of those options. And then what you do is that you choose an option that you are going to take, and then you want to explain this to the outer world, and you are going to make a manifestation of those fears that is gonna back up the option that you are going to choose. And there are multiple reasons from which you need to tell this to the world. There might be, your parents asking you why you want to follow this path, or you might want to apply somewhere and you need to explain the reason. So you are looking for a manifestation. Now, the problem is that we are in a way trying to fool ourselves with those manifestations because they are not even close to what we believe inside us. If you noticed, humans actually know what they want. Like, if you look deep inside you into the places where it's only you who knows those things and your fears, it's only you who knows those, and they're deep inside which option you want to take, but you are sometimes scared of telling this to the outside world. And an example of how those three levels manifest in reality is that I have a friend which is now going to study to university, and he has two options. One is to study in Romania, and the other one is to study in the UK at a very good university. And there are these two options on the first level, studying in Romania or studying in the UK, and there are fears attached on top of those. And I was trying to ask him about what he wants to do and why does he want to do that. And he was inclined to study in Romania because he thought and he was trying to explain to me that this is the best option that he has. And I asked why. And there are multiple reasons which come when you ask why. For example, you might know some people who go there. There might be cool people. They might be your friends. You might want to be with them. This is one thing. The other things might be that you can get the international experience from doing some internships abroad, and you do not actually think that you need that much to be in a new environment. And all those things which he was trying to explain to me, but the thing to find out exactly when someone is telling you what's the actual cause that they made that decision is that you continue to ask, like, hey, why do you think that it's true? For example, he was trying to tell me that the professors at the UK universities are probably as good as the one in the Romanian university. And I asked, like, how do you know that? I don't know that. How do you know that? And what comes next is that they usually get stuck at this step because you start getting deeper into the root cause and people get blocked here. And because this reason, it's a reason which is mostly an illusion in your head. You do know that this is actually true. And when someone asks you, you cannot explain and back that up. So he got stuck at those questions, and then it clicked into my mind like, man, these are not the actual problems or the reason that you are doing that. It's something one level deeper. It's something usually pretty basic. It's a fear which is simple, a fear that only you know, but I don't know, or people around you do not know because you do not talk those things with the outside world. And you are the one who needs to go slightly deeper inside you and ask yourself, but why do I think all those things, and why am I rejecting from the beginning to study in the UK? And it turns up that he didn't travel with an airplane abroad, and he didn't travel too much abroad, and the core reason is that he was scared of doing that. The core reason is that he was scared of the unknown and of going out of the comfort zone, because moving to study abroad, it's in a way a big change in the way that you interact with the outside world, because there are new people, everyone with different cultures and ways of living and different ideas, and you are not used to those. So it is uncomfortable to change the environment around you. So the actual reason was the fear of the unknown. It's something basic. It's something that all of us have. And this is one of the 5 to 6 things which are usually the core fears. There is the fear of the unknown. There is the fear of losing money. There is the fear of being stupid in front of other people. There is the fear of missing out, and there are probably another 2, and these are all. There are not many fears which are the actual cause of things. And I explained this to him as well, because at that point it clicked into my head, and we had a moment of silence, and he started saying, I think this is true. I think that, yeah, you are right in a way, that this is the actual reason, and I didn't, think it that way. And of course you didn't think it that way, because it's scary to go that deep inside you and look at those reasons. But in order to expose this idea to him, it's him who needs to make the actual understanding that this is happening. So my role was to expose this idea, but then we got to a point where this idea was, exposed, that that's the actual fear that was inside him. And this uncovered that all the other reasons that he was explaining to me were only manifestations of that fear, which you can expose to the outside world. And the punchline is that a few hours later, he decided that the best way to go is to study in the UK. And then it clicked further, and I asked him, but didn't you know that you want to study in the UK? Because if you look deep inside you, you actually know what you want to do. And he said, yeah, it's true that I wanted to study there, but it's mostly this fear of the unknown. And what's fascinating is that all of us have this thing that we have a fear of something, and we know that that thing is the one that we want, but we are scared of choosing that option. And when someone that we trust tells us that that's the right way, it kind of eliminates that fear. So we need to hear from other people that that is the way to go. It's basically looking for external confirmation from the people that we believe in. So the punchline is that fears are usually simple. They are basic things of which we fear, and there are usually 5 or 6 of those which are the core of what keeps us from making an option. And we have to recognize that, and we have to try to look deeper inside us and try to fight with those fears when we feel that there is something which stops us from making the decision that we want. And if we put this again as a mental model in a hierarchy, we have on the first level the options, which come with different constraints, and these constraints create fears on the second level. And these are basic fears, like the fear of missing out, the fear of the unknown. And then what we tell to the outside world in order to back up our decision are manifestations of those fears. And these are not true, and this is something that we do not actually believe in, but we just try to cover the insecurity which is inside us. And the punchline is that we should know that this thing exists, and we should acknowledge that we have to go deeper into these basic fears. There is nothing super complicated at the fear, because it's usually something simple, and we have to fight with those. This is what I believe until this moment. I'm not saying that this is a definitive answer or a definitive, solutions to those things, but this is an interesting idea that I wanted to share. And thank you for watching. See you in the next one. But before I close this video, I need to show you how this thing looks again, because it's just amazing. See you in the next one.